In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down how I made $3.8 million for my clients completely organically using the hybrid funnel. So before we jump into the funnel, I'm going to be showing you some proof. So we have Dovi, who went from 5 to 20K per month, and then we produced him over $1 million. You have AJ, we produced him over 140K in the first 30 days. You have Micah, who went from $0 to $400,000 a month in just 7 months. And then you have Denzel, who went from 15K a month to over 100K per month. And as you can see below, there's some screenshots of some of the wires I've been getting. So you can see some 4K wires, 6K wires, up to even 27,000 pounds, which is like 35,000 US dollars in a single month. So yeah, we've been able to get some pretty cool results. So let's jump into what the hybrid funnel is. So let me give you a high level overview and just make something very clear. This funnel is not for everybody. Don't just implement this funnel because you're seeing it on a YouTube video and you've seen that it's made billions of dollars for my clients. This funnel only works if you already have a YouTube and Instagram presence already. If you have a presence on one of these platforms, either Instagram and YouTube, but you want to start posting on the other platform, you're already posting content and you're trying to grow a personal brand. You don't have a massive following, but you are still creating content. Or if you just want to be a content creator, like if you're willing to post on both Instagram and YouTube and you want to, then this funnel is for you. This is not for you if you don't want to create content. If you're already focusing on Instagram and you don't want to create content on YouTube, you don't, click off this video because this video is not going to be helpful for you. So why does this funnel work so well and how has it generated all this money for my clients? So the main point is this funnel has no leaks. And that is why we're able to get such amazing results. See, a standard funnel, if you're running, let's say, a VSL funnel on YouTube, all of your traffic, let's say, comes from YouTube. But what if they haven't built enough of a relationship with you yet? What if they want to see more of what you're doing day to day? So they go over to your Instagram, but your Instagram is not optimized, meaning you're not posting many reels, you haven't got your highlights optimized, you haven't got your bio optimized. So there's not really any conversion mechanism. Let's say you don't even have a DM setter on your Instagram. There's no way for that person to convert once they're on Instagram. Or let's say they then go further down the funnel. They go to your landing page, but they don't book a call and you have no way of actually capturing their information. Or they book a call, but then they don't show or they cancel and you have no systems in place to recover them. So the only way people convert is if they come in, they watch a YouTube video, they click on your video, and then they come through and they actually book a sales call and convert. At some point in this funnel, most people's funnels, if they're just running a normal VSL funnel, there is leaks everywhere, meaning they are leaking clients, leaking customers, and they're leaking money. So here's how the hybrid funnel solves that. So number one, we have YouTube and Instagram working together in sync. People can come in on Instagram and then go to your YouTube, or people can go from YouTube and then go over to your Instagram, and both are optimized for conversions. Meaning you're basically running a VSL funnel and a profile funnel at the same time. Then you have your setting team. So anybody that falls through the cracks, the setting team is picking up and pushing them towards a book call or nurturing them. And then once they book a call, you have a very detailed and structured post-booking page, which is going to help and maximize conversions. And then once someone actually has a sales call, we even have follow-up sequences, re-engagement campaigns, and even monthly webinars to capture any leads, again, that fall through the cracks. So essentially, everything that can convert is converting with this type of funnel. Now, one of the reasons why this is such an effective type of funnel is because you're meeting people exactly where they're at, meaning you're meeting people at every stage of awareness. And if you don't know what the awareness stages are, essentially you have people that are unaware. These are people that don't even know they have a problem. You have people that are problem aware, meaning they know they have a problem, but they're not sure how to fix it. You have solution aware, meaning they know they have a problem and they know there's a solution, but they don't know who's the right fit. Product aware would mean they're aware that your product could help them with their problem. There's probably just some questions or concerns. And then most aware is when they're aware of their problem, that it's a solution, that your product is a solution, and that you're the person to help them fix their problem. So how most people run their funnel is they're attracting people that are problem aware and solution aware, but they don't really meet people that are unaware, or if people are coming to their funnel unaware, they're not pushing them further down the funnel and down the awareness stages. So let's say people come in watching your lifestyle content on your main YouTube channel. You're then going to push them towards your niche YouTube channel, which is going to uncover the problems that they didn't really realize they had. You're then going to present solutions to them both on the niche YouTube channel, then moving into your VSL. Your VSL is going to take them from solution aware to product aware, and then your post booking page and your sales call is what's going to take them from product aware to most aware, and that is where you're going to convert these people. Running this type of funnel as well, we're also following the 7-11-4 rule. Google's research tells us that buyers need on average 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points in 4 different locations. So because we're running content on your main YouTube channel, your niche YouTube channel, you're posting Instagram Reels, you're doing Instagram Stories, your setters are in the DMs with them, you have email sequences, you have a setting team, you have your post booking page, and you even have a monthly webinar to top it off. So when you're running content and you have a system like this where every single part of the funnel is working together, people can come into your ecosystem, watch tons of content, get tons of touch points, and be ready to buy much sooner. And the idea with this funnel is you're not putting in much more effort, right? It's pretty much the same amount of effort. So it's pretty much the same amount of effort, but you're getting a much bigger result, meaning you might have to put in an extra 20 to 30% of effort, but you're getting 100, 200, 300% return on that effort that you're putting in. So you're already creating YouTube content. You're just creating an extra piece of content or 2 for your niche YouTube channel. You're posting on Instagram already, but you're just going to optimize your Instagram page as a profile funnel, and you're running story sequences. You're already running a sales team, so make it easier for your sales team by having an optimized post booking page and your setting team triaging. You're already sending emails, but let's start sending something that's a bit more personalized WhatsApp, which your sales team are going to do. And you're already taking sales calls, so why not just run a monthly webinar as an extra conversion mechanism? So you're not doing 10 times the work, but in some cases you are going to get 10 times the results. So let me show you from a bird's eye view how the hybrid funnel looks. So people are either coming in on YouTube or Instagram. They may go from one to the other. They may go from the main YouTube to the niche YouTube channel. They could go from the niche YouTube channel to the main YouTube channel, and vice versa, Instagram to YouTube, YouTube to Instagram. So then it goes on to our conversion mechanisms, which is the VSL funnel and the profile funnel. With the VSL funnel, they're either going to book a call straight away, or if they don't book a call, we capture their details in the type form and the setting team starts calling them, qualifying them and booking calls. If they go to the Instagram profile, they are either getting DM'd straight away as soon as they follow, or they're engaging with the content, they're interacting with one of our posts, which has a CTA, or they're interacting with one of our stories, and then they're going into the DMs as an inbound lead. So this is where the next stage, our setting team is taking care of anybody that hasn't booked by themselves or hasn't taken the initiative by themselves. Once they actually book a call, they're going to the post booking page, which has a video explaining what the next steps are, breakout videos, case studies, and then they go towards a sales call. There they either close or they go into one of our back-end sequences. So if they didn't close, they didn't show, they cancelled, or at a different stage in the pipeline, we have different workflows for each stage, and then we push all of those people that didn't convert into a monthly webinar, as that is a different conversion mechanism, which might help convert some of the people who couldn't convert from a sales call. So here's just a high-level overview of kind of what we went through, some of the paths people go down. So they watch 20 to 60 minutes of YouTube, then they click the VSL, then they fill out the type form, they book a call directly. It goes to the setting team for a triage on the sales call. Or someone might come to you on YouTube, they follow you on Instagram, they see stories, engage, they go to the DMs, they book via DMs, and then they go to the post-booking page sales call, and from there they close. So what is the strategy that we use on YouTube? So we have the main channel in most cases and the micro niche YouTube channel. So most people are already posting on YouTube, they just have no direction. So they're going for views. They've probably got a channel that has a decent amount of subscribers and they're getting a decent amount of views, but it's all very top of funnel. It's lifestyle, it's hype, it's stuff that's just purely for entertainment. There may be some educational content on there, but it's not structured in a way to convert your ideal client. And you're mainly getting people that are unaware or problem aware at this stage. So this channel attracts people, but it doesn't really convert. So yes, you can push people towards a VSL funnel, but you also want to be pushing them towards the micro niche YouTube channel. This is hyper specific to your product, to your niche, to your topics. You're doing detailed Miro board breakdowns just like this, and you're mainly pushing content which is bottom of funnel and middle of funnel. And it's always tactical and actionable teaching. And this is the channel that actually converts. So typically people are going to go from main YouTube channel to micro niche to VSL funnel. Or they're just going to find your micro niche YouTube channel and go straight into the VSL funnel. So how you structure your content then is top of funnel is mainly going to be on the main channel, some middle of funnel and some bottom of funnel on the main channel. And then micro niche is pretty much all going to be middle of funnel and a lot of bottom of funnel. The types of content, you have lifestyle, opinions, stories, broad topics, and entertainment on the top of funnel. Middle of funnel is more how-to videos, frameworks, and tactical teaching. And then bottom of funnel is going to be case studies, detailed breakdowns, and then VSL style YouTube videos, which are designed to attack pain points, overcome objections, and get them to convert at the end of the video. So once they actually have gone through YouTube, where do they go to in terms of the VSL? How does the VSL work? How is it structured? So we created the frictionless VSL page, meaning there's no opt-in. A lot of people are running opt-ins, and you're probably losing your best kind of clients when you do that, because you tend to attract tire kickers and low value prospects when you do this. Now they've already watched 20 to 60 minutes of your content, so actually having an opt-in page is why you can create friction that doesn't need to be there. On that VSL page, at the top, you're obviously going to have your headline and sub-headline. You're going to have your VSL video, and when you're running a YouTube funnel, you want to keep it around 10 minutes. You don't need a 20-minute, 30-minute, or an hour VSL because they've already watched long-form content. Below that, you're going to have a type form. This is going to capture the lead even if they don't book a call. And you're going to embed the Calendly into the type form, again, to reduce friction. So if you have a type form that they submit and then they get redirected to a page where they book a call, you're just creating extra steps that don't need to be there, and you're creating more friction that needs to be there. So you capture the lead, the Calendly is embedded. If they're qualified, they get shown the Calendly and they book a call. If they're unqualified, they don't get an option to book a call straight away, but that fires off with an automation and notifies our setting team to ring those leads and try and qualify them. Because you will get people that say they don't have the budget when they do, or your questions deem them unqualified, but they actually are qualified once your sales team talks to them. And then below that type form, you're going to have your case studies. Now, I try and keep social proof to a minimum here. You don't want to take away from the point of the VSL, which is getting them to convert into a booked call. So remove the friction. At this point, they should already be warm because they've already watched your YouTube videos. So quickly going over how the type form works. The lead is going to fill out the type form. The partial submit is going to save their info once they put in their name, email, phone number. That way we can still send them emails, call them, etc., even if they don't book a call. If they meet the budget and the other criteria when you're scoring the lead, they can book directly into the closer's calendar. If not, we've still captured the lead and the setting team is going to reach out to try and sell them to see if they're actually qualified to potentially nurture them. So when they are ready, we can sell them. So that is kind of a high level overview of how it works specifically on YouTube. Now, obviously, if they go from YouTube to Instagram, this is exactly how it's going to work. So they find you on YouTube through search or they're browsing, it's a recommended video. So they watch that YouTube video, they see you as someone that is an authority, right? They see you as someone that has expertise, but they don't trust you at this stage. They've only just watched one video of yours. So then they go and follow you on Instagram. They want to see what you do day to day. Is this just a video where they've shown the best part of their life, or is this what you're doing day to day consistently? They want to see your day to day. They start to see your stories. They start to know you a bit more as a person. They see where you live. They see what you get up to day to day. Then they see that you do a story, right? You do a story sequence, which engages them, which makes them think, okay, maybe I can do this. So they reply to your story. They go into the DMs. They think they're talking to you, when in reality it's a setter. Then they book a call. They then follow the similar sort of process with the post-booking page, etc. And then they go to the sales call. How should your Instagram actually be laid out if you want to run a profile funnel? So number one, you need a very optimized bio. Within that bio, you want something you've achieved, something that's going to show authority, and then you want a clear CTA. So DM me a specific word to learn about what I do, for example. Below that, and this is probably the most important, is you want to have optimized highlights. People don't really care at this stage where you're traveling, what you do day to day. They see that on your story already. Just smash this with as much results as possible, as much social proof as possible. So if they click on it, they're literally spending 5 minutes clicking through case study after case study after case study after case study, just showing social proof. Below that, obviously you're going to have your grid of mixed reels with teaching, CTA lifestyle, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. It's always good as your pin post to have some things there that, again, are going to help build authority. Like you can have your story there, you could have case studies there, and then obviously you could also have a video of you teaching, which is going to show your expertise and authority. Your stories, obviously you're showing your day-to-day lifestyle, you're obviously posting wins and results, and obviously you're giving them value as well. And then 2 to 3 times a week, you're going to post story sequence, which is going to drive traffic to the DMs. So the highlights are going to show social proof, the stories are going to build a real connection, and then the sequences are going to drive action to the DMs. Now, when it comes to the DMs, this is where you can make a lot of money and you're potentially leaving a ton of money on the table. So this is what we do with our clients. If they're under 10K followers, we're doing heavy outbound, meaning we're prioritizing, obviously, inbound from CTAs and new followers. But that is nowhere near enough to keep even one setter busy when you're at this stage of following. So what we do is we get the setter to reach out to every single one of your followers with some kind of outbound script to see if this is something that could help them, to see if this is something that could work for them. If you're between 10 and 50K followers, you're still doing outbound, but mainly to new followers. You're not really doing so much outbound with every single follower, because most of the time with those new followers, as you're starting to grow, and those inbound, they're pretty much always busy. 50K to 100K followers, this is where potentially, depending on how busy you are, maybe you have an extra setter, and they're pretty much only doing inbound and then still new followers. Okay, new followers is always a great way to, to get people into the mentorship, because these are people that have probably seen you on YouTube, potentially seen your content, followed it, and you're getting them when they're very, very hot. So the outbound here is still kind of light. Outbound at this stage is a little bit light because you're going to be getting a ton more inbound. And then let's say 100K followers and over, you're pretty much not going to do any outbound. You're pretty much only relying on inbound. Now, yes, you could hire a setter specifically just to do outbound, but what you'll find is you'll have to send so many messages that you're probably going to start having issues with Instagram, like sending too many messages. So at that 100K followers, you're pretty much relying on inbound only. If you are doing any outbound, it's a very small amount when in between days where you're doing story sequences and you're only doing it to new followers. So that is the high level overview of what we've done on Instagram and what we do on Instagram with a hybrid funnel. So let's move on to the setting team. The most important thing here with your setting team is speed to lead, meaning not just speed to lead when someone opts in or they do a partial submit on the Typeform, but also speed to lead when someone books a call. So the lead comes in, they just watch your content, they just watch the VSL, they filled out the form, but they don't book. We want to call them within the first 15 minutes while they're still warm, while they still remember what happened in the YouTube video and the VSL. Same when they book a call. We want to get them on the phone after they book a call as quickly as possible. Why? We want to make sure they are prepared for the call. They might have booked a call for the next day, right? So we want to get to them as soon as possible to make sure that, number one, they've received the link for the call. Number two, they don't have any questions or concerns prior to the call. And then number three, to make sure they're going through all of the pre-call material, meaning they're showing up to the call prepared, qualified, and excited for that call. The longer you wait, the colder the lead gets here. So this is definitely something that you want to track, and it's something that we track with every single team. And again, if you're not doing this, if you're not getting to those leads minutes after they actually opt in, your chances of ever reaching that lead go down significantly. The call cadence from our setting team goes like this. We basically call them 4 times a day for the first 5 days. So typically it's like a double dial twice a day. If you're doing a single dial, again, you're missing out because so many people have their phone on do not disturb, etc. You want to double dial them twice a day, usually once in the morning, once in the afternoon, for the first 5 days. That means every single person's getting contacted at least 20 times or at least 10 to 20 times throughout that period. After day 5, they just go into one big call list that we just power dial through once we go through all of the new leads or between new leads throughout the day. Now, if for whatever reason we can't get them on the phone, because there is always a percentage of people that we can't get on the phone, we have other mechanisms for conversion, right? We send them emails, we send them SMS. So within that first 7 days, we have a sequence, which is for email and SMS. That's going to overcome any of our objections. So that 7-day opt-in sequence for email is going to be a lot more detailed. This is where we can overcome our top objections that we see on sales calls, our top questions and concerns that we have on sales calls, and then also send them emails with case studies and results and proof. These objections and questions, they all come from real sales call data that we feed back into emails. After that, they're going to go into an ongoing mailing list, which is 5 emails per week, which is just a ton of value, proof, and then CTAs. And the idea here is obviously to try and get people to book calls completely automated, no team involved. People that maybe don't pick up the phone, don't go through one of the other conversion mechanisms, they have this conversion mechanism if it's something they prefer. And again, it's also extra touch points. Someone might literally not believe you until the point where they opt into your email sequence. They in the email sequence, let's say for a month or two, and then finally they've seen so much proof, they've seen so much consistency, they're like, okay, maybe this is real. Then they book a call and then they convert. And if you didn't do this, even if you're only missing out on 1 to 2 sales per month, that's still, depending on how much your product is, could be somewhere between, let's say, 5 grand and 25 grand just for 2 clients. So that's a high level overview of the setting team. Now, your post booking page. This is probably the most important part of your funnel. Why? If you're spending all of this energy and time and effort into getting people to book calls, but you're not properly nurturing them before the call, you're not making sure they show up, and not just making sure they show up, but making sure they show up qualified, excited, with all of their main questions and concerns answered, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. So this is how we lay out our post-booking page for all of our clients. No matter if we're running the hybrid funnel or a different type of funnel, we always set out our post-booking page like this, because this is where the money's made. So this is how you're going to structure it. At the top, you're going to have your headline. This is always best if it's personalized. You can do this with Calendly because it can send the details from the call to the next page when you do a redirect. So you're going to have like, hey, name, your call is for date and time. Below that, we're going to have a sub-headline which tells them to look out for a call from our team. That would be the setting team triaging. If they're always calling from the same number, you could even put that phone number there so they know exactly who to expect a call from. Below that, you're going to have the pre-call video. And in this video, you're going to congratulate them and explain the next steps. You're going to help them do research on you and on your offer. And at this point, if you have anything negative of you online, this is your place to address it so that it comes from you, so that you can explain yourself, because people will do their own research. If you're not addressing this stuff here, this is what leads to people not showing up or cancelling their call or showing up with concerns that makes it much harder for the closer to overcome on their own. Then you're also going to show live proof. This has been a game changer for our clients, and I will actually show you. We had a client who went from a 40% show rate to an 85% show rate, and this was one of the reasons. We showed live proof. So if you're a trader, open up your MetaTrader 5 and show them how much you've made in the last year. Show them how much you've made in the last 6 months, in the last month. If you're running an e-com offer, show them how much you've made, right? Go and log into Shopify, show them how much you've made in the last year. Obviously, you can blur out your store name, but just show them proof. And this is where, if you are someone that actually has a good offer, if you are someone that actually is doing the business model you're teaching and you're not basically a fraud, you're gonna set yourself apart from the competition, because when people see that, it's undeniable proof. What you can also do is you can show your dispute rate. So we've had clients do this in the past. They literally open up, they do a screen share, they go into Fanbasis, they go into WOP, and they show how low their dispute rate is, which again is an indication that people inside the program are happy. And you could even log into whatever community, whatever you're using for your community, so Discord or Slack or Circle, and just scroll down and show all the most recent wins. You're then going to explain them what to do next in terms of like, go to their email, search this name, add it to your calendar, and then watch the resources below. So below that video, we then have the breakout videos. So this is going to be 6 to 10 videos where you're you're answering the most frequently asked questions and overcoming common objections, which is all from live sales call data. Below that, you're going to have case studies And on this part of the page or this part of the funnel, you can load that with every single case study you have. You literally want it to be so they scroll and they just scroll and scroll and scroll, and there's so many case studies there. Are they going to watch them all? No. But again, it's so much social proof that it becomes undeniable. So just a quick recap on what the pre-call video does. It congratulates them and tells them the next steps, tells them what to expect from the call and to expect the call from the team. It teaches them how to research us. It shows them live proof, and then it tells them to watch the case studies below. So how we get the data for the breakout videos, I just explained it before. We get the data from the sales team's top objections and the common questions we get from the call. We don't actually get the sales team to report it anymore. So we pull the data from Fathom and we have an NAN automation that basically goes through, extracts every single question, common objection, etc. And at the end of the week, it gives us a tally of what are the most common to least common. And as I mentioned before, the phone setter is obviously triaging every single booked call. And what we tend to do, not only are we checking if they have Zoom, not only are we making sure they know when the call is and confirming they don't have any unanswered questions, we're also going to match a case study to the lead. So based off their answers from the type form, based off the conversation the setter has on that triage call, we're going to send them a personalized case study which is nearest to their background and what their goals are. So this way they actually see a case study which is way more relatable and believable to them, and they can see that we're putting in the effort and energy to try and help them feel comfortable and interested in what we do. So as I mentioned, just from implementing the pre-call video and this case, like matching the case study to the lead, we took one of our clients' show rates from 40% to 85%. Another thing you can do, which we do on some of our clients, some of them we don't, is we get the closer to record a personalized loom and send it to the lead. The thing is with show rates, improving show rates on your pre-call process, it is going to be different for every single offer, not only in the frequency of the emails that you send, but literally every other step as well. It really is about adding and removing friction and seeing what works. The main thing here to remember is test things in isolation and test things over a 72-hour period. Meaning if you're trying to improve your show rate, just try one thing at a time so you know what's making the improvements or not. And again, at least give it 72 hours before you actually decide whether that's helped or not. So on some of our clients' offers, we have a very high touch point, meaning we send 3 to 4 highly value dense emails. So it could be 3 or 4 a day leading up to the call, whereas some offers, we actually only send like 1, and it's just literally a reminder. So 1 per day. So the offer that we took from 40% to 85%, the things that we actually done is, number one, we sent them the personalized WhatsApp. We sent them a Loom video. It wasn't personalized. It was actually a generic one that the closer recorded and sent to them. We had all that stuff on the pre-call page that I showed you. And then we also reduced the number of emails we sent. Before we were sending 3 to 4 a day. And actually once we put it down to 1 a day, we started to get a higher show rate. So it really does depend on offer to offer. And when you are sending the personalized messages and personalized case studies, make sure to do it on WhatsApp or iMessage, depending on where your prospects are based. So that brings us on to the back-end webinar. So even if you're just running a hybrid funnel with Instagram and YouTube, you are going to plug a lot of leaks. With that pre-call process that I just went over, you are going to plug a lot of leaks. Your business is going to run so much more efficiently. But how you can add an extra layer to that is a monthly back-end webinar. This doesn't require much extra effort. You're just taking out one night a month where you're going on a 2-hour webinar teaching your business model. But what this allows for is people that didn't convert through the VSL, through the emails, through the setters, where they can jump on a 2-hour webinar, get tons of value and decide if it is for them. Now, the reason why for most offers, we're not running full-time webinars, or we're definitely not pushing webinars from YouTube, and we learned this the hard way because we did test going from YouTube to a webinar, is that the problem we found was when someone goes from a YouTube video and they register for a webinar, it could be a week out or 6 days out or 5 days out. So they register, but they lose interest, or they see a competitor's video and they're already excited. That competitor's running a VSL funnel and they click, they book, they chat with the sales team and get sold on a different offer, on a competitor's offer, before they even attend our webinar. So what we tend to do is we just push everybody to the VSL funnel. If they don't convert through one of these mechanisms, then we loop back around and obviously get them on a webinar on the back end. So who goes into the monthly webinar? These are going to be leads in our pipeline who haven't booked. These are going to be people that booked, but maybe they didn't show up, or they cancelled the call, or they just didn't close. So in that webinar, you have all of these people that are already in your pipeline, right? They've already booked a call, or they've submitted a lead, but didn't book a call. How we get them into the webinar is we run a 7-day email sequence leading up to the webinar. Then what we're also going to do is on the day of the webinar, we send an email out to the full list. And then what we also do when we're live, we're also going to send an email out to the full list. So with the retargeting ads, what we're going to do is we're going to have Instagram engagers in the last 365 days, which is going to include followers, commenters, likers. And then we're also going to have VSL page visitors within the last 180 days. With people that cancel or no-show, we're also going to do a similar process as I mentioned. We have flows, we have the setting team SOPs, and at the very end, if they don't rebook, then obviously they go into our webinar flow as well. So the idea is that you actually have a system that doesn't rely on human interaction, because some people don't like phone calls, some people don't like SMS, so they're not answering the phone, they're not replying to the SMS, but if they do have some kind of email sequence and you build trust that way, then you get them back on the calendar or you get them booking into a webinar. So let's talk about systems, AI, and team. So the team that you're going to need to run this kind of funnel is going to be different at each stage, which is why I left it blank, and I'll kind of draw it out for you. So if you're below 30K a month, it's likely going to be you as the business owner. Okay, here, you're going to be taking the sales calls, and you're likely just going to have a DM setter and a phone setter. And then maybe you have like an editor, someone helping you with content, something along here. So let's just say like editor/content, yeah? That's going to be your team structure. Now, if you're, let's say 30K to 50K, then maybe you have a closer, maybe not. At this stage, I would still recommend you being on calls, but if you feel you need a closer to get to the next level, you can do that. So let's say an optional closer, okay? Here, you're definitely going to still have the DM setter and the phone setter, and then obviously you're going to have your content team. Maybe you even have someone like a VA or someone that's potentially helping you with operations. Now, the next level, let's say you're at 50K to 100K. Well, at this stage, you are definitely going to have a closer. You're definitely going to have a DM setter and a phone setter. So you're definitely going to have a phone setter and a DM setter. Maybe you'll have multiple phone setters at this stage if you're getting enough leads. You're definitely going to have a closer, and then obviously you've got your content team. You're probably going to have an ops person at this point, but you're still going to be managing the sales team. Once you're over 100K per month, that's when you can have a setter manager. Sorry, when you're over 100K per month, that's when you're likely going to have a sales manager. So you have your sales manager, you still have like your content team, and you have your operations team. So let's say sales manager, content, operations. Then under them, you've got maybe one closer. Potentially you have another closer at this point as you're scaling to 200K a month. Maybe they're part-time, they're taking calls just on weekends. And then under each of them, they have like a phone setter. And then you have like 1 or 2 DM setters as well. What my clients prefer to do, and this is obviously, again, completely optional, is they have them as the business owner, and then they have me as their operator or their COO, but I'm actually taking care of everything else. So my team takes care of sales management, operations, content ideation, right? And the only other thing that they're taking care of is pretty much they just have like an editor. But we take care of everything else, every other part of the business. Sales manager is looking after the closers. They even have often a setter manager, and the setter manager is then taking care of all of the setters. And then we are even taking care of marketing when it comes into paid ads. We're also doing funnel building, back-end systems, emails, everything. So all the client needs to focus on is talking to me and us having weekly calls. And then they just have their editor that's helping them with the content. We're even giving them content ideas, etc. Now, a big part of this process, not just a hybrid funnel, but actually any info business and any funnel, is your SOPs, because your SOPs is how you run the machine. It makes hiring, firing so much easier or so much harder if you don't have them. And obviously it gives your team the exact procedures that they need to do the job correctly. So I've given some examples here, but you basically want to SOP every single part of your business. That's how you hire correctly. And again, if you hired someone like my team, we do all the SOPs for you. We do all the team hiring, etc. as well. So yeah, if there's anything in this video so far that you've liked, you feel is helpful, that you want to implement yourself and you want help with, click the link below, book a call with me, and I'll be more than happy to run you through what we do. Once you have the SOPs in place, everything is systemized. You want to document everything so your business can actually run without you in the room. And then of course, we have AI. So we use AI in pretty much every part of the business. So content creation, not just for repurposing content and clips, but also for ideation, for writing scripts, that kind of thing. For lead management, so AI manages the CRM, routes leads, triggers automations. Email sequences, not just writing them, but actually firing them off, depending on what stage of the pipeline they're at. The sales process, so transcribes the calls and gives us a weekly tally of objections, questions, and concerns. And then it can even help with doing outreach, helping you hire a new team. And one thing that I didn't mention here is actually onboarding clients, which is probably one of the most valuable ways you can use AI within your business to save you time, energy, etc. So the idea is you create a system here that has no leaks and that all works together. So your YouTube content, your profile funnel, the VSL funnel, the setting team, the post booking page, the email sequences, the webinar, and the infrastructure create one machine that can essentially run without you and has minimal leaks. So your team, your SOPs, and your AI, it means you can scale as the founder without being in the business. You can work on the business and you can spend your time on the most highest leverage tasks. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below or DM me on Instagram. If you want to implement this funnel into your business, if you want any help with your funnel, if you want help overcoming your bottlenecks, click the link below and book a call with me, and I will see you in the next one.